Hello everyone. Now in this video we will see how to model a site. There are two ways in which we can model a site. The first method is a manual method in which we manually draw or model each contour by placing points at different levels. This method is useful if you are modeling a site which is simpler or rather flatter and has a lower number of contours. There's another method in which we can import a 3D CAD file and use the three-dimensional contours to create a site. This import method is useful if you have a more complicated, a larger site or highly contoured site. This is the CAD file that we'll be using for the first method, in which we'll be drawing contours manually by placing points. So as you can see, it's a rectangular simple site with 4 corners at different level. You can see those here. The first contour starting from 6 inches going to 2 feet with 6-inch contour interval. So we'll be using this CAD file to draw these contours. So let's import this CAD file in Revit and start modeling our site. So let me close this. Let me go to Revit. Let's open a new project with construction template. So project construction template is right, click OK. Now it's very important to understand that all site elements such as walkways, driveways, or any sidewalk that you may have, any parking space, site features, all these site elements can only be drawn on site view. So under your floor plans, you have various views. So we'll be using site view. So let's activate site view by double clicking it. So we are in site view right now. Now, before we draw anything, let's make sure that we know the levels that are already there in this templates. So let's go to one of these elevations and see what levels exist. So there's level 1, which is basically 0, 0. And we will consider this level 1 as our benchmark. And we'll start modeling or referencing our contours from this level. So let's go back to site view. So here is our site view. The first thing we want to do is we want to import CAD file that I showed you earlier. So to import CAD, we'll go to Insert tab in the ribbon and click on Import CAD. We'll navigate to the folder and I'm using this sidewalk file. Okay, make sure the positioning is origin to origin and click open. So what this does, it brings the site plan into Revit. So this site plan acts as an underlay, and you can trace or you can use these lines to create model components. One more thing I would like to highlight here is you can see that these lines are quite thick. Okay, and sometimes it's very confusing, especially if you want to draw something from this corner, let's say. So being thick lines, the intersection is not clear. So if you are having problem, all you have to do is go to this tool right here and click on it. So what it does is it converts thick lines into thin lines. And now you can see it's pretty precise, and I can actually select the right intersection. So do that if needed. So now that we have a CAD file imported, let's start drawing site. To draw a site, make sure we are in site view and then we go to Massing and Site tab. What we'll be drawing is a topo surface. We'll be drawing a topography. So click on topo surface. When you first open it, usually the place point, this tool is already activated. So we'll be using this tool to manually create the site. So let's zoom in. So first we will place points at the lower corners, the 2 lower corners of the site. So this corner is 2 inches and this corner is 0, 0. So let's start with 0, 0. Under option bar, whenever we are placing point, we have to make sure we have the right elevation first and then we will place the point. So right now the elevation is 0, 0. We'll place a point and that will mark 0, 0 elevation. Now we know that the other end of the site has plus 2 inches level. So let's go and change this elevation to 2 inches and place that point. So now place 2 points. One is at 0, 0 and one is at 2 inches. Now the next is a contour. So this plus 6 inches contour is going this way. So before placing any point, let's make the elevation to 6 inches or plus 6 inches and then kind of, starting from the first end, just follow through the contour. So just to draw tentative profile of this contour. So all these points that we are placing on this contour line represent the same elevation. Once you're done with this plus 6 inches contour, let's go and change this elevation to 12 inches, which is the next contour of 1 foot. Using the same process, we can start drawing the second contour. So all these points will be at 1 foot level, so they would represent one contour. The next contour is 1 foot 6 inches, so let's make it 1 foot 6 inches, the elevation, and now all the points that we will be placing will mark this contour at 1 foot 6 inches level. You can choose to be precise, you can choose to be, kind of approximate in placing these points. Next contour is 2 feet. So change the elevation and start placing these points. So I'm using a very simple site profile just for the demonstration purpose. And then the last two ends of the site has level of 2 feet 6 inches and 2 feet 6 inches. So let's change the elevation to 2 feet 6 inches and let's mark these two ends. So now we have created a site with all the levels as marked on the drawing and with tentative contours. So once we are done, what we need to do is we need to click on this finished surface check mark. Until unless we click on this check mark, the program will not accept this as a site. So click on that, and now this has become a site, and you can actually see it in a default 3D view. Now you can go to 3D view from here, from the project browser, or you can click on this little hut or house icon and it will take you to default 3D view. As you can see, the site is here. If you want to better visualize it, let's make it shaded, and now you can see that it's shaded. You still cannot see the slope, so let's use our section box. Let's activate it. Click on the section box, and using these little arrows we can move or slice through the site, and now you can see the site is sloping downward from plus 2 feet 6 inches to roughly 0, 0. Let's get rid of this section box, and now we have a site. Now let's draw a sub-region. Once we have created a site, let's go back to our site view, and under massing and site, let's draw sub-region. But before we could draw sub-region, to draw those walkways on this site, we had to make sure that we could see through. So right now this site is solid and it is hiding our 2D CAD file that we have imported. So let's go back and change the visual style to wireframe. And we change it to wireframe, and now we can see through this site our underlay of that 2D drawing. So this is the walkway that we will be creating. So let's click on subregion. When we drew our site earlier, I forgot to explain, whenever this modeling area of the screen turns gray, this means that the program is asking you to sketch the profile. So when we created earlier our site and we started placing points using the underlay, at that time also the screen went gray, meaning that we need to sketch the profile of the site. In this case, it's again turned gray, and what we need to do is we need to sketch the profile of this walkway. As I explained in my earlier videos, there are two ways we can do that. One is by drawing. So I can zoom in, I can start drawing, or I can pick lines. This is the easiest option. If you have an underlay, then we can always pick a line. So let's click on this. We do not want any offset for picking line in this case, because we want to pick exactly the same line. So let's keep the offset as 0. And once the offset is 0, let's pick these lines. So this is one line. All we are doing is we are tracing the profile of the sidewalk on our site. So this is the profile that we will be using for our sidewalk as it exists in our 2D CAD file. Now one thing is important to understand here. Whenever you're making a profile like this, it has to be a closed profile. In other words, you cannot have an intersection like this. It needs to be neatly cornered off. For doing that, we need to go to this trim or extend to corner command, click on that, and click on this line and then this line. And what it does, it just corners off or cuts off the extended line. Similarly, we'll do it here. So let's corner off these two and these two. So now we see that this is the profile of the sidewalk that we want to have on our site. So once this is done, click on this check mark, and now we have drawn that sub-region on this site. We can go back to see in 3D view. This is our site, and I can click on this sidewalk, and then this is our sidewalk. So we model the site and we model the sidewalk. In the third step, what we will do is we'll model the building pad for the building that we'll be placing on this site. Now before we do that, let's go through some concepts of assigning material. So we have created a site, and let's assign a material to this. So I want you to hover your mouse, and when the site highlights like this, it turns blue. So when I hover my mouse, it turns blue, then I click, then it's going to select the site. When the site is selected, I want you to see its properties here under properties window. And in that, you can see that material is right now by category. You want to change it. So I want you to click right here, and you see this little radio button. I want to click it. And when you click it, it opens a material browser. Some material which are already available for you to use in this model. So let's look if we have grass over here. We want to apply grass as material to the site. There's no grass. So let's click on this little button, which is show hide library panel. When you click on it, it shows you what material are available in the library. So under home, let's expand this. So we have two libraries. One is Autodesk Materials and one is AEC Materials. You can choose any one of these. So let's expand Autodesk Material. And then there are different categories of material like ceramic, concrete, fabric, so on and so forth. What we want to do is we want to go to miscellaneous. And under miscellaneous, if you go down, now there is no grass here. Let's try AC. Let's go to AEC miscellaneous. Yes, we have grass here. So once you find the material, there's a little arrow here which says add this material to the document. When you click on this, what it does, it takes this material and adds it over here in the list. Without adding this material to this list, we cannot assign that material. So let's go ahead and add this to this list, and now it shows up here. Once it shows up here, click on it and click apply and say OK. So that means that material has been applied to this. You can verify that by going and changing the visual style to realistic, and you can see that grass is applied to the site. Let's go back and change it to shaded. We can also apply material to our sidewalk. Let's click on it. So when you click, all the properties of the sidewalk are listed here, and there's the first category of material. Let's click here. Let's go to the material browser and let's apply a concrete material. So precast concrete, let's apply that. Click OK, click OK. So now that material has been applied. You can see that in realistic view. Let's go back and change this to shaded. So this is the first method and simpler method in which we drew or we model a site by manually drawing each contour. In the next video, we will see how to draw a site by importing a 3D CAD file. Thanks for watching.